Hello everyone, this is ML Naruto. Welcome to my channel. So in this video we're gonna look for the topics statistics, business analytics, and what is the relation between the statistics and business analytics, and why statistics is so important in today's world of data. So for each of these topics, I'm gonna give you what is mean by that particular term. That is nothing but the standard definition of it, and I'll explain that particular terminology with the help of a real practical example. So I'm gonna give this for each of these topics. Why it's important to have the standard definition for any terminology? Because I'm just talking this in interview point of view, right? Why? Because let's say if anybody asks you what is meant by statistics, you should not jump to any explanation of any example. Why? Because explanation of example is nothing but it's your own point of view. It's not the generalization of this particular terminology. So first of all, you need to explain what it is meant by, and then you need to explain it in your own words with the help of any use case or any example. So this will be the standard procedure when you answer any random question in any interview. So this would definitely generate a beautiful kind of impression for your interviewer. So in this video, I'm going to explain all these topics, and specifically what is meant by it, and I'm going to explain that particular terminology with the help of any practical example. So, but before deep diving into these topics, let's have a look at this beautiful quote by Naruto. Failing doesn't give you a reason to give up as long as you believe. This is nothing but when you believe. For example, let's say I have a student. Let's say I have a student, and he is actually a duller student. He doesn't know how to solve the maths, but he is very much interested in learning the maths. He know he already knows that he's the duller in the whole class, but he has the zeal to achieve it. So he's just keep trying very hard to compete with the best of the class. So until he has that particular zeal in him, then failing doesn't really matter. Why? Because he'll definitely get succeeded at one point of time, maybe in future, maybe in some days, or maybe in some few hours, but he'll definitely get succeeded. Why? Because he has that particular zeal to succeed. So the meaning of this particular quote is nothing but unless or until you have this particular zeal in you to try, uh, failing doesn't really matter for you. And I heard a famous quote called uh, there is no person there is no person in the whole world who has failed when he is actually trying, right? The person will actually fail only if he stops learning or if he stops trying, right? So okay, enough of motivation. Let's deep dive into this topic or into this world of statistics. So with this video, I'm gonna start this playlist of statistics, right? Okay. So first of all, coming to the definition, what do you mean by the statistics? These are the methods to explain, understand, and interpret the data which is affected to great extent by several causes. So what is meant by statistics? In simple words, I can call it as just the facts or the numbers. Let's say uh, let's say in our country today we got some 323 COVID positive cases. So what is that particular number 323? That's nothing but a statistic, right? And when you look into the news particularly, India had scored some. Let's say I'm just taking this an example. Let's say India has scored some 150 in 20 overs. Let's say. So what is that particular 150? That's nothing but a statistic. Those are all the numbers. Numbers are nothing but the statistics. But if you want me to explain this particular in a standard definition, I can say these are the methods. What is meant by statistic? These are actually the methods. And what is the use of these methods? These are used to explain, and these are used to understand, and these are used to interpret the data, right? We have a data and we need to explain that particular data. We need to understand what is meant by that particular data. And after understanding the data, we need to interpret what is the kind of information it is giving. We need to understand that, right? And this particular data is really affected to great extent by several causes. What does it what does it mean? What does it mean actually? I'll explain you with the help of an example. Let's say we have a data. Okay. Let's say this is meant by this is called a data. Okay. So what is this particular data? I'll explain you with with the help of an example. Uh, let's say this is the data of a uh, COVID-19 patient, right? COVID-19 patient, for example. This is the data of COVID-19. This is the data of the people who are actually affected from COVID-19. So we have this data in particular, and what are the reasons that lead to this data, right? There are several causes. There are several reasons which are impacted actually, which are actually impacting on this data. For example, we have one particular reason like no vaccination. I'll explain this in this notepad here itself. Example, we have a data about the COVID-19 patients. Okay. So here this data is impacted by several factors. Several factors. What are those factors? Let's say person without a vaccination. A person without a vaccination. And the second reason is person without a face mask. Person without social distancing. Right. So and so on. These are all the reasons which are actually impacting this particular data. For example, let's say a person who is actually not having the vaccination, he has the higher chances of getting affected from this particular disease COVID-19, right? And a person who is actually not wearing a face mask, he's have the high prone, he's actually uh, in a very high prone to get affected from this particular disease COVID-19. And a person who is not maintaining this social distance, he has the maximum chances of getting affected with COVID-19. So these are all the factors which are actually impacting this particular data. So this data is actually dependent on these factors. Let's say a person who is actually having, he has a vaccination, right? He already had a vaccination. Then what happens? The scenario of getting affected from COVID will definitely get reduced, right? And let's imagine a person who is actually wearing a face mask. Then what happens? The data will get really impacted. Why? Because he's actually wearing the face mask. So the chances of getting affected from the COVID-19 will definitely get reduced. And what is this? Person who is actually maintaining the social distance, right? He's actually maintaining the social distance and he is not actually in a physical contact with other people around him. So what happens? Then the chance of getting affected from COVID-19 will definitely get reduced. So a data will always have some kind of several causes or several factors, right? So what is meant by statistics? Statistics is nothing but these are the methods to explain this particular data. And these methods will definitely explain this particular data, and they understand what is meant by this particular data, and they really try to interpret what this particular data is actually telling us, right? So it's all about the 3 steps. Explain, understand, and interpret the data. This is the definition. These are the methods to explain, understand, and interpret the data which is affected to great extent by several causes. These are all the several causes. I'm just explaining this as an example, right? So here I have taken this particular data as a COVID-19 patient's data. So this data will definitely get impacted by several causes like this. So every data has its own causes in their own scenario, in its own scenario. Okay. So this is the definition of the statistics, and statistics is nothing but really explain with the help of the statistics we can explain what is meant by that particular data, and what we can we are able to understand this particular data, and after understanding the data we can interpret, we can make some kind of business decisions based on the understanding we developed from the data. Okay, so this is the whole meaning of the statistic. What is meant by this statistic? This is the standard definition of the statistic, and this is the example of a data actually. And you want me to explain the example of statistics? Then nothing but there are 569 COVID cases in Asia, I can say, or uh, or the temperatures in Asia have gone to some 52 degrees Celsius. So what are all these numbers? These numbers are nothing but the statistics, because these numbers are actually measuring the uh, impact of the COVID, right? Measuring the impact of the COVID. Let's say if I say, what if I say uh, the COVID cases in Asia are damn high. If I say like this, is this particular statement actually explaining any kind of severity? No. Why? Because I'm just saying the COVID cases are damn high. I'm not actually explaining it in a uh, in some metrics, right? I'm not explaining this particular scenario in some metrics. Here, when you look at here I'm just explaining the situation, whole situation in some kind of number. So these numbers will talk. These numbers will definitely talk about this particular situation. So you can imagine the situation. For example, if I say 569, this is nothing but okay, it's actually the low cases. For example, I mean the situation is very normal. Let's say if I say some okay, see here 2,22,569 COVID cases. So this is something a situation for which we need to be worried, right? So 2 lakh plus cases are nothing but this is a very serious issue. So here the amount of severity is actually getting explained by this particular number. What is, and here what is meant by this number? This number is nothing but the statistics. Okay. So now I have already explained what is meant by statistics and the example of it. And now I'm gonna move towards this business analytics. What is meant by business analytics? It's the broad usage of the data and quantitative analysis for both quantitative and qualitative data for decision making. So this is the standard definition of the business analytics. So So this is the standard definition for this business analytics. Let's have a look. What is it actually mean by? It is the broad usage of the data and quantitative analysis for both quantitative, qualitative data for decision making, right? Okay. So what is the difference between this statistics and business analytics? It's actually the numbers, right? It's actually the number with which we can understand the amount of severity in that particular situation. We can understand, oh, 2 lakh plus cases means the situation is very worse in that particular area. We can understand this, but in order to analyze we need to perform some kind of quantitative analysis, right? And uh and here when you look at in data we have quantitative and qualitative. See here, data is data is categorized into quantitative and qualitative type of data. What is meant by the qualitative? What is meant by the quantitative data? Quantitative data is nothing but the numbers. And what is meant by this qualitative? Qualitative means it's the categories, right? It's the categories. For example, I can give the example for it, like age. Age will be in the numbers, right? Like 6.2 or 5.6, 5.10. These are all the age. Age is nothing but it's a quantitative data. It's a quantitative data. And when you look at for qualitative data, I'll say gender. So gender can't be measured in numbers, right? Gender, what will be the gender? We have the gender male and female and other categories. So it will have the categories, subcategories in this particular uh, category. We have, for example, we have the category gender. Inside this particular category, we have the subcategories like male, female, and other. But we don't have the categories here. Why? Because it will be expressed in numbers. Like we have some 165 centimeter height and some 170 centimeter height. So the height will be in this matrix. So this will be the quantitative data and this will be the qualitative data. But here, let's see here what is actually saying. It's the broad usage of the data. Business analytics is nothing but it's the broad usage of the data and quantitative analysis for both quantitative and qualitative for decision making, right? Whatever maybe the data is. For example, if the data is in the quantitative nature, no worries. And if the data is in the qualitative nature, no matter whatever maybe the data is, we will definitely apply some kind of quantitative analysis for both the quantitative and qualitative data also. Okay. See here. See here. Let's say we have age and we have gender. This is numeric and this is categorical. But no matter whatever maybe the data type is, we will definitely perform some kind of quantitative analysis here, right? And we will also perform some kind of quantitative analysis here. Then we will draw some kind of conclusions based on that particular analysis. This whole scenario is nothing but performing some business analytics, right? This is the standard definition of it. We will make use of this particular data. Okay. For example, we have this particular COVID data, right? We have the data about the COVID-19 patients. We will make use of this data and also we will perform some kind of quantitative analysis on this particular data. No matter whether this particular COVID-19 data is about quantitative data or it's all about the qualitative data, no matter whatever maybe the data is, we will definitely perform some kind of quantitative analysis. Quantitative analysis, that's nothing but an analysis of numbers. Okay, analysis of numbers. We will definitely perform some kind of quantitative analysis for both the type of the data, quantitative and qualitative. And what happens after performing some kind of quantitative analysis, we will get some kind of decision making, which is very much useful for the business decisions, right? See here, we are actually performing some kind of quantitative analysis, and here also we are just performing quantitative analysis, and then we got some kind of business conclusions. We are getting some business conclusions. So this is nothing but a business analytics. This is the process of business analytics. Okay. See here, I'm just taking the similar example, like have a data of employees in IT sector, let's say. And now what I want to do, I need to perform some quantitative analysis on this data. See here, either quantitative or qualitative data. See here, I'm not saying that it is that this employees data is of quantitative nature or is it of qualitative nature? I'm just not revealing that. Either it may be the qualitative or it may be the quantitative, whatever maybe the data is. We just need to perform some kind of quantitative analysis on this particular data. After performing this quantitative analysis on this data, what we can do? We can draw some business conclusions from the analysis. And so we have finally drawn some kind of business conclusions from the analysis we have done. And what we can do with the help of that particular conclusions, we can finally take some business decisions based on that conclusions, right? See here, I'm just explaining in a very clear and narrow way. See here, I'm just explaining this particular definition of this particular terminology, business analytics. It's nothing but we actually want to make use of this particular data, and we need to perform some kind of quantitative analysis for both quantitative and qualitative data. Whatever maybe the data is, we need to perform some quantitative analysis. And what happens after performing the quantitative analysis on this data? We will get some kind of business conclusions from this analysis. So how can we make use of this business conclusions? So after analyzing this particular data, we'll get the business conclusions, and after reading all the conclusions, we'll get an understanding. So from that understanding, we will take some kind of business decisions. What actions need to be taken or what actions need not to be taken. We will get that particular clarity based on these conclusions, right? So this is nothing but the business analytics. And why I'm actually explaining this terminology business analytics here in this particular statistics playlist? Why? Because it has some kind of relation with this statistics. The term statistics and business analytics have some kind of relation. I'll tell you. See here, finally we got at a point where we need to explain the relation between statistics and business analytics. So I'll explain you. Statistics is the heart of business analytics. Why I'm saying like this? Why? Because see here, just observe the process of this performing business analytics. We'll get a data and we need to perform some quantitative analysis on this data, and then we'll get some kind of conclusions, and based on these conclusions, we will take some final decisions which will improve our business, right? So this is the process. Here, when you observe in this particular first point, see here what I have said. I have just said that I need to perform here. I need to perform some kind of quantitative analysis, right? Here, see here. I need to perform some quantitative analysis on this data. So this particular point has a direct relationship with the terminology statistics. Without statistics, we can't even perform quantitative analysis. What happens if we don't perform any quantitative analysis on this data? We won't be getting any business conclusions from that analysis. Why? Because we haven't performed any quantitative analysis. And what happens if we don't get any conclusions? We can't even take a simple decisions which will improve our business. So statistics is actually impacting this particular business analytics, right? So without statistics, business analytics is nothing. So with the help of the statistics, we usually perform some business analytics. Why? Because here I have already explained. I need to perform some quantitative analysis on this data. And this particular quantitative analysis is usually performed with the help of this statistics, right? Okay. So up to this, I have explained it in a very clear way. I'm hoping so. And right now, I'll jump on to this topic. Why statistics is so crucial in today's world of data? What happens if we don't make use of this statistics? What happens? Let's see. Let's see what happens if we don't perform any, if we don't use of, if we don't make use of this statistics. What happens? So the first point is uh, earlier, earlier we have the data in only one or two forms. Example, either of either in written format, that is that is in the form of the letters, envelopes, postcards, etc. But now what happens is data is now generating, data is now getting generated from wide range of resources. Example, we can generate the data, uh, we can generate the data from a with the help of the camera, right? So we can make the data in the form of a videos, in the form of a videos, and we can also make the data in form of some images. Also, we can record the data in the form of some audio clips. Also, we can make the data in form of some reports. So here the data is in the form of some kind of papers, right? And also what we can do, uh, we can just transfer the data. Okay, we can just transfer the data uh, in some electronics, in some electronic gadgets, electronic gadgets. So there are a lot of resources. So there are a lot of resources from which the data is getting generated right now in today's world. But earlier, when you see, the data is only available in one or two forms. That is, either it will be in the written format, that is letters, envelopes, or postcards, or etc. But here, when you look at, the data is now getting generated from wide range of resources. Example, from videos, the data will be in the form of some MP4 kind of videos, and the data will be in the form of some PNG images or JPEG images, or the data will be available in the form of some MP3 audio clips, or the data, or we can also make the data in some papers, in some A4 papers or some legal papers or whatever it is. We can make some kind of beautiful files. So, or in some electronic gadgets too. So data is available, or data is getting generated from wide range of resources, and this is not in some low quality, low quantity. This is from, and it is generated in huge amounts, in huge amounts. I'll give you the example. Okay, example is number of people who are googling in a given point of time. Let's say if I say if I want to find out the number of people who are actually Googling in 1 second around the world. So what will be that particular number? I think it would be in some millions or trillions. Why? Because Google is a part of it's a part of life, right? Google has become already a part of our lives. Why? Because even if you don't know the particular location, you will definitely Google. If you don't know the meaning of this any particular terminology, you will definitely Google. If you don't know how to write some kind of code, you will definitely Google. So Google has become already a part of our lives. So I'm just here giving you an example of this particular data, huge amounts of data. Huge amounts of data is nothing but the number of people who are actually Googling in a given point of time. So why I'm actually giving you all these examples? Why? Because I want to explain why statistics is so crucial in today's world of data. I'll come to that point. But before I want to explain, I want to explain. In analytics, we have two kinds of analytics. What is that? Why I'm explaining this? Why? Because if you understand these two kind of analytics, you will definitely know the value of this. Why statistics is so crucial in today's world of data. You'll get that after understanding these particular two kinds of analytics. Okay, so I'm just explaining these two analytics. First kind of analytics is nothing but I have a set of goals and I gather data to find out at what extent our goals are met. So I go to the I go to each and every people and perform some survey. The survey will be either online or offline. Whatever it is, we need to perform some kind of survey and collect the opinions. Nothing but the data. Opinions are nothing but the data, right? And we analyze and and we interpret the data, and then we get some conclusions. Based on those conclusions, we will make a business report, or we will take business decisions, right? See here, in business analytics, we have two kinds of analytics. What are those two types? First of all, we have some kind of set of goals. That is nothing but we have some kind of objectives. Let's say I want to find out the most amazing anime series. Okay, I want to find out the most amazing anime series in the whole world, right? This is my set of goal. And in order to find out that, what I can do, I'll definitely gather the data. How do I gather the data? How do I gather the data? I'll go to each and every person, right? I will go to each and every person and perform some kind of survey. I want to ask them, which anime series do you like the most? I want to ask this particular question, and I want to record their opinions. I want to collect their opinions, right? So this survey, I will conduct some kind of survey. This survey will be either online or offline, whatever it may be there. But I just want to collect their opinions. So what is their favorite anime series? I want to collect their opinions. So collection of opinions is nothing but the data. Okay. And after collection of the data is finished, we need to analyze that particular data. We need to perform some kind of statistics on that. And then we analyze means we nothing but we need to perform some kind of quantitative analysis on that particular data. And then we understand the data, and then we interpret the data. After interpretation of the data is finished, then we'll get some kind of conclusions. So based on these conclusions, we will make a business report, or we will take some kind of business decisions. So this will be the process. So in this scenario here, it is important to remember that we need to have some kind of set of goals, right? First of all, before performing all these actions, we will have a set of goals here in this particular scenario. Okay. But here in the second scenario, I don't have any goals. I just observe the data and finds out the patterns and trends involved in it. Companies make use of these patterns, trends, and gain profits from them. Or they can improve their performance based on those patterns or trends here. Based on those trends. See here, what I'm saying is, in the first example, I have some kind of set of goals. So in order to fulfill my goals, what I can do is I need to conduct some kind of survey, either online or offline, and I will collect some kind of opinions, nothing but the data. And then I will analyze, understand the data, and then I can interpret the data, and then I get some kind of conclusions. Based on those conclusions, I'll take some business decision. So this is the process for the first kind of business analytics, right? In the second case of business analytics, here I don't have any kind of set of goals. I'll just randomly pick any kind of data. Okay, I'll just randomly pick any kind of data and I just observe the data. I just need to observe the data and find out what are all the patterns and trends involved in it. And then here I means nothing but the anybody, like anyone who are interested in observing patterns. Like I means nothing but any company or any group of people or anyone who are really interested in observing the patterns and trends of that particular data. Okay. For example, I'll explain you with the help of an example. See here, let's say this is the x-axis. Sorry, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis, right? So here I have some kind of data which is nothing but the duration data. For example, this x-axis, on this x-axis I have some kind of 1 year, 2 year, 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year. So I have some 5 years of data on the x-axis, and here I have some price like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and I have some kind of patterns like see here I have some kind of patterns like see here, this is a kind of pattern, right? And when you look at here, for the first year, the price of the price of the particular stock is some 10 rupees, let's say, okay. And in the second year, it has gone to some 20 rupees, right? See here, from the first year, it has gone to some 20 rupees in the second year. And then in the third year, again, it has come to around some 10 rupees. And in the fourth year, it has gone to some, let's say, 30 rupees. And in the fifth year, it has again gone below to some 25 rupees here. Okay. So actually, what I'm doing is here I'm just observing the data. See here, it has some kind of pattern, zigzag pattern here. First of all, it has risen, it has it has uh, it has increased, and then it has decreased. Again, it has increased, and again it has decreased. So, what will be the price of my 6th year? I mean, what will be the price of my stock in some 6th year? Can you guess? Here, see here, I have the 6th year right now, and what can you guess? How can you guess? So in the 6th year, definitely my stock will gonna increase to some 40 to 50. Definitely. Why? Because how can I say that? How can I say that? How can I say that? How am I saying that? Why? Because see here, I have just observed the pattern. First of all, it has increased and then decreased, increased and then decreased. So recently it has decreased. So what will be the next year's price? So definitely it will increase. So this is the prediction for this 6th year, right? So this is nothing but observing the data and finds out all the trends and patterns of it. Okay. So this is nothing but this second scenario. I don't have any kind of specific goals. I don't want to predict any kind of stock price, right? I'm just picking any random stock. I'm just a good observer. Okay. I really want to observe any kind of random stocks or random products or anything. So I don't have any kind of goals. This is the main point here. And I'm just observing the data. And I just really wants to find out what are all the patterns and trends involved in it. So when you look at the pattern here, it is a zigzag pattern. See here, increased, decreased, increased, decreased. Again, it is increased. And what happens in the 7th year? It will definitely gets decreased. Why am I saying like this? Why? Because I'm just saying all these things based on the previous trends or previous pattern, right? When you look at the past year, from the above 5 years, it's following this zigzag pattern. So definitely in the further years, in the further coming years, it will definitely follow this kind of zigzag pattern. It will definitely decrease in the 7th year, and then again it increases in the 8th year, right? How can I say? How can I say means I'm just observing the past patterns of this particular data. Okay. So this is the scenario, and companies will definitely make use of these patterns. So companies uses these patterns and trends, and using those patterns, they will definitely gain patterns from them. or they can improve their old performance, right? For example, uh, for example, if I am, I mean, if I can know that in the next coming years the price will definitely gonna fall again, so I can be, I mean, what I can say, I can be a little more alert, right? This time, I can be alert this time, and uh, I make sure that I won't get any kind of loss this time. If I know, for example, if I know the future, then I'll definitely becomes a little more careful, right? So by that way, the companies will uh, definitely get some kind of profits, or they can definitely improve their performance based on those patterns and trends. Okay, so here when you just see here, uh, here first of all look at this first point. Here we have a set of goals or something. Okay, blah blah blah, and then what happens is we are actually analyzing. Okay, we are actually analyzing, and we are actually interpreting the data. See here, analyzing means we are actually performing some kind of quantitative analysis. That means we are actually using the statistics in business analytics. So this is why statistics is so important. See here, all, I mean, why I have already explained all these things, just to make sure you understand this relationship, right? Why statistics is so crucial in today's world of data? Why? Because it has the use in business analytics, right? Here we are actually performing the quantitative analysis in our business analytics, right? So how do we perform quantitative analysis? By just with the help of these statistics, right? So with the help of the statistics, we are actually performing this quantitative analysis. So here, in this way, the statistics is really crucial in today's world of data. Okay, and here when you look at here, we are actually observing the data, and we are actually finds out the patterns and trends, right? Patterns and trends is nothing but, again, here actually we are actually making use of this statistics term. See here, statistics is all about numbers, right? See here, we are actually uh, following the numbers, right? In the first year it is 10, in the second year it's 20, 15, again 30, again 25, again 40, 45. So here we are actually following these particular numbers. So again, here comes to our rescue is nothing but the statistics. So here again, we are actually using all these statistics to perform any kind of business analytics. Okay, here we have two kinds of analytics. In the first approach, we will have some set of goals, and then we will follow the rest of the procedure. And in the second approach, we don't have any specific goals, but still we actually finds out the patterns and trends involved in it for random companies, for random products, right? We don't have any kind of set of objectives to follow some specific products like Amazon or Google or Paytm or somewhat. Okay, we don't have any kind of specific goals to find out. We are actually interested in finding out patterns and trends of any random data. So we are actually observing any random data, and then we are actually finding out the patterns and trends involved in it. And these companies, we have lots of companies in markets. So those companies will definitely make use of these patterns and trends, and will definitely gain the profits from them. Okay, and what can all these companies do? Usually companies will try to improve their own performance based on these patterns or trends. Okay, so that's so that's one of the biggest use of the statistics in today's world. And I'm gonna explain one other thing. Why statistics is important means, this is the first point, let's say. So this is the first thing with which we can definitely say statistics is more crucial in this today's world of data. And the second point is computing power. What is meant by this computing power? Computing power, you can just take this as the screenshot, right? You can just take a screenshot of this, and I'm just erasing this. So I'm going to explain right now the computing power, right? For example, when you look at, for example, when you look at uh, in the early 60s or early 70s, we have the computers in huge shapes and huge, really in huge size, right? The size of a computer will usually is almost equal to some big room, right? So this is the size of a computer. Okay, in the early 60s or 70s, in the early 60s or 70s, this is the size of the computer. And with such a computer, what can we, what can we do? We are able to perform, we were able to perform some basic calculations or some simple operations, right? But here the size is really huge, right? And when you look at now, the size of the computer is in such a size, in such a small compactable size, right? This is the size of a computer. This is the size of a computer. This is the keyboard. This is the keyboard, and this is the screen. Okay, this is in 2022. This is in 2022. So what happens from the years? So from the years, the size has been gradually reduced, right? The size has been gradually reduced, and the performance of the computer has been gradually increased. Okay, the size is very much small, but the computation power is something which we need to talk about. Okay, so when you look at in the early 60s, the computation power is very slow, and when you look at the sizes, it's very high. Okay, i'm just representing I'm just representing the computation power as C, and I'm representing this size as S. Okay, computation power is very low, and the size is very high, huge. And when you look here, the computation, the size is very low, and the computational power is very high. See here, you can screenshot this. So due to that, what happens is we can analyze whatever maybe the data is. If it is big data also, we can simply analyze with the help of this computational support we got in today's world. So what I'm saying is computer power computer power is increasing. Computer power is increasing, with which what we can do, we can we can process we can process and analyze the big data also. How can we do that? Because we have faster algorithms to solve problems. Also we can visualize the data for business intelligence, right? So here statistics is very, very important. Why? Because earlier we don't have much computational support, right? But now when you look at here, we have our best computational power in our systems, and with which we can process and analyze the big data also. See here, whenever you use this particular term analyze, there it involves the key role which is being played by the term statistics, right? Analysis is nothing but the quantitative analysis of this particular big data. So here it involves the term statistics here. With the increasing trend of this computational support we got now, what we can do is we can easily perform some quantitative analysis on this particular big data also. So how can we do that? Because we have some good computational powers. Good computational power is nothing but we have some real faster algorithms with which we can solve good problems. I mean, with which we can solve any kind of almost any kind of problems, and we can also visualize this particular big data or any other data for our business intelligence also. So this could be one of the reason why statistics is so much important in the world of data. So this could be one of the reason why statistics is so much important. And now I'm explaining the third reason why statistics is so much important. See here, earlier we don't have much computational power. Now we have greater computational power. But here also, earlier we don't have much storage capacity. How, what is meant by that? I'll explain. Just take this screenshot of this. And now, why I'm explaining, and did you get any kind of doubt that why he is just explaining all these? Why, what happens if we find out why statistics is so crucial in today's world of data? What is the importance of this? That's nothing but we can't even I mean, we can't even estimate the process of the interview, right? For example, if your interviewer asks, okay, you are almost a gem in explaining all the machine learning algorithms and all the data science concepts, but here I just want to ask you a simple question: why do we actually need the statistics? If you ask, say, if you ask this kind of question, how can you deal? I'm sure for many of the people who are actually experts in machine learning and data science, also they can't even answer the simple kind of questions why statistics is so much important in this today's world of data. Why? Because they didn't even, I mean, they really don't even expect this kind of questions from a interviewer. So what they can do is they just simply get confused, or they just give wrong answers, right? So it is very much useful to understand all these concepts before entering into the world of statistics. Okay, that's why I'm explaining all these concepts. Okay, so first of all, I have already explained this particular topic, and now I just want to explain why statistics is very much important in terms of storage capacity. Okay, see here, earlier earlier the data earlier the data has been stored. Earlier the data was stored in terms of a floppy disks, right? This will be a floppy disk. Okay, this will be a floppy disk. And earlier we have some kind of disks called CD, compact disk. Okay, earlier we used to watch a lot of movies inside this, I mean, from this compact disk, that is CD. This is floppy disk, FD, and this is compact disk, that is CD. See here, with which we can store all our information or all the data inside these floppy disks and compact disks, or we have DVDs, VCDs, or something like, right? So this is the form of storage we have in our earlier days. But what's the scenario now? What's the scenario now? We can store lot of information. We can store lot of information in this hard disk. Okay, this is the hard disk. This is the hard disk, and we can store huge amount of data inside this hard disk. And also we have some kind of pen drives, right? So this is a pen drive with which we can transfer any amount of data, and also we can store any amount of data in it also. This is a pen drive. I can shortly call it as PD. Okay, and now these days we already have some kind of cloud technology, right? With which we can access all our data, no matter where we are. Okay, if I am in India, then still I can access this particular data inside this cloud. If I am in US, then also I can access all my information, no matter whatever maybe the location is. So still I have the access permission to access all my data from cloud or any kind of things, right? So this is the case in earlier 60s. So this is the present scenario's case. Okay, so what happens is our storage capacity has been uh, phenomenally increased. Okay, has been increased phenomenally. So what happens if it is increased? So what we can do is we can do parallel computing also. We can do parallel computing, cloud computing, with much better computer softwares and hardwares, due to which we can solve any problems, any problem in today's world. See here, much faster. See here, I have explained why statistics is so much important in today's world of data. Okay, so one of the reason is either these two, right? And one of the reason is either this. Why? Because our computational power is so much damn high in today's world when compared to the earlier world. So with which the scope for the statistics has been phenomenally increased. And when you look at here, earlier we have very less amount of storage to store all our data at one place. Okay, when you compare early 60s with today's trend, the scope has already been increased. See here, earlier we used floppy disks or compact disks. Now we are actually using these hard disks and pen drives and cloud data, with which the scope for the statistics has already been increased. Why? Because if you store the greater amount of data, then what we can do? Then we can perform any kind of analysis on that particular data. For example, you don't here when you compare here in the early 60s, uh, we don't have the facility to store all our data at one place. Why? Because the storage capacity of this particular floppy disk is very much small. So we can't even place all our data at one particular place, right? For example, we have some kind of billions of rows and millions of columns. Let's say, okay. Can we store that particular data in this floppy disks? No, we can't. Why can't we store this? Why? Because the storage capacity of this particular floppy disk or this particular CD drive is very much small. So here, when you compare this with our today's trend, here the scope for the storage capacity has already been increased. So we can store any kind of big data. We can store here in store it here inside our floppy, here inside our hard disk or inside our pen drive or inside in this particular cloud also. Okay. So what happens? We are actually now storing all our big, huge amounts of data. So we are actually increasing our capability of performing statistics. Why? Because if your capacity of storing data is actually increasing, then the capacity to perform any kind of statistical analysis is also increasing. See here, I'll explain this. Storage capacity is directly proportional to capacity of performing statistical analysis. Why I have said like this? Why? Because if you store much data, then it's actually your chances of performing statistical analysis is actually increasing. When you don't have enough data, how can you perform any kind of statistical analysis even? No, right? You can do this particular statistical analysis only if you have enough storage capacity at you. If you don't have this enough storage capacity, then you can't even do statistical analysis. So, so this is all. So this is all about today's topics. When you see here, I have already explained all the kinds of terms here with a standard definition and with a practical real life example also. Okay, I have just explained what is meant by statistics. I have given a standard definition and I have talked about COVID-19 patients data for this particular definition. And this is not the example of the statistics. This is actually the example of the data. Okay, data which is which is really getting impacted due to several reasons. So I have just given the example for this particular point, the data which is affected to great extent by several causes. Okay, I've just given the example for this particular point. This is the example for this particular point. Okay, and this is the example for the term statistics. Okay, and here I have just explained the data will be in the form of two forms, like quantitative or either qualitative. Quantitative means numbers, qualitative means categories, that is gender, male, female, other, or when you look at for colors, blue, orange, red, green, these are all the categories, right? And numbers is nothing but not only age, we can also see here the salaries also. See, the uh, salaries will be in some kind of lakhs or even thousands, right? For example, a person will be having some 2 lakh 2 lakh per month salary as a salary, and some will be having some like 20,000 per month also. So this will be the scenario. And what I have already explained, what is meant by business analytics, it's nothing but making use of this data and also performing quantitative analysis for whatever maybe the data is, either quantitative or qualitative. What happens, what we will get in from this analysis, we will get the opportunity to take any kind of business decision. Okay, I have already explained the practical example for this, and I have already explained this relation between statistics and business analytics too. Okay, with the help of an example. And I already explained this why statistics is so crucial in today's world of data. Okay, because the amount of what we can call in the earlier 60s or 70s, the data was available. The data was available only in one or two forms, maybe in written format like envelopes, letters, etc. But in today's scenario, data has been gradually collected from wide variety of resources, videos, images, audio clips, etc. Whatever may be. So I have given few scenarios like when you have set of goals, you will perform some kind of analysis, quantitative analysis on data, and you will get the business decision. And this scenario is when you don't have any goals, but still you observe the patterns and trends involved in it. Here also, we need some kind of statistics with which we can observe the patterns and trends. Without statistics, it's nothing. It's almost useless to perform any kind of analysis. Not useless actually. We can't even perform any kind of statistical analysis without the involvement of statistics. Okay. And here, this could be one of the reason, like computational power has been gradually increased, due to which the scope of statistics has already been increased. And when you look at here, this is the storage capacity. Storage capacity is almost directly proportional to capacity of performing statistical analysis. When you have enough data, then you will definitely have the freedom to perform any kind of statistical analysis. What if you don't have enough data at you? Then you're almost you're almost in a no position that you can perform statistical analysis, right? So this is the end of this video, and in the next video I'll talk more briefly uh, in the subtopics of the statistics, right? Okay. Thank you so much. Take care. Jai Hind.